In the world of business, ethics are very important. Ethical behavior by business or by businesses is something that is expected by clients. Clients don't want to deal with those businesses that are not straightforward, that are not transparent, and that cannot be trusted. So ethics is one of those topics that has been important, especially when we are describing the rise of corruption. My name is John Masugu, and the program is Economic Forum, where we discuss various issues affecting our economy in Zimbabwe. These can be issues to do with mining, with industry, with education, with tourism, and many other facets. We discuss them here in order to see how they affect our economy. And today we are discussing business ethics with none other than a leadership trainer, Mr. Charles Kaguda. Mr. Charles Kaguda, welcome to Economic Forum.
Thank you for having me. I'm very pleased to be here.
Ethics in business is quite an interesting topic, and there are a number of things that can be discussed. And I know you yourself have also had the time to sit down and even write books about ethics in business. I was looking through as well just to find out what this is all about, and I noticed that some of them include just morality in a business environment, issues like good behavior, trust, responsibility itself. You get to a place and you don't know who is responsible. You are there, you want a service, and no one is ready to serve you. And I also came across choice itself. The choices we make can also be part of how we are measured with regards to our approach to ethics and reliability. Now, if you could tell us about all those, what they mean in a business environment.
Ethics is a very wide subject in itself, and there are many types. But essentially, ethics is about right and wrong behavior, correct and wrong behavior. It's about the choices people make when they are faced with a moral dilemma. And in business, that happens quite often. So ethics is how we conduct ourselves. Are we convinced that what we are doing is right or wrong? Even if we go ahead and do it while we know that it is wrong, there's something that tells us that it is wrong. But we may proceed and do it anyway, which is what usually happens. And there are harmful effects to that kind of behavior. So ethics is a very wide subject. I mean, we can talk about business ethics, which is only one arm of it. It's now called applied ethics because the overall subject is ethics. You can talk about medical ethics. You can talk about environmental ethics. But today we are keying in on business ethics, which is to do with the conduct. How do we conduct ourselves in a business environment?
Yes. What is important, Mr. Kaguda, is that when we attend college, university and so forth, and we do a business training, some of the things that you then want to talk about with reference to ethics may be those soft skills that may have not been in the syllabus. How do you bring them in?
Sadly, that is the problem. There are very few courses that address issues of ethics. I know that at the UZ they've got a degree in, they offer a degree in philosophy, ethics, and human development, which is a good thing, but it's just a department. But ethics affects every facet of our lives, and we cannot do without ethics. And if we sacrifice ethics, we will find that it will have detrimental effects on our behavior in general. This is why even if people have attended university, they've got a degree, they've learned the technical aspects of their career. But the softer aspects are to do with how you conduct yourself, because you are going to work within an environment where there are people. And so ethics touches on those things that say this is wrong and this is right. And usually courses do not concentrate on that, because economics by itself has got two definitions, as you probably know. Descriptive economics talks about, supply and demand as we find in. So if I want to go into, say, supplying drugs, you are still a component of economics. But normative economics addresses issues that are the right behavior of economics. What is the right kind of economics? If you're going to address things like the social welfare of people, you are addressing economic issues but focusing on the social welfare of your people. So economics itself has got two branches, and so does ethics. Yeah.
You deal with different organizations and individuals. What has been the state of the understanding and application of ethics that you've come across?
Sadly, I must say that the ethical environment in our country is not the ideal. There are various levels that you can look at. There is if I might say, the worst kind, which you can call the immorality code. That's one level. And then the integrity mode, which addresses issues of, hey, this is right and this is wrong, but sometimes people turn a blind eye. But you also get another level where the whole organization is totally aligned to ethics. In other words, everybody is involved in making sure that they are handling this basic issue of ethics. So you'll find it's a spectrum from the worst, to the best. And a lot of the people are in between in terms of their observance of ethics.
Enter a new employee at a company. What is the general induction that they get about ethics?
Again, it's a problem area from my observation. Having worked in industry for many, many years, I've worked in industry as well as the public service. And sadly, the induction is to do with how a person should do their job, right? There is an element of an ethics code in some organizations. A lot of them don't have an ethics code or an ethical code. But it's just one of those things that is put in but is not given particular attention. So most attention is paid to those aspects of the job that ensures that there is maximization of profit.
That's Mr. Charles Kaguda. He is a leadership trainer, and today we are talking about ethics in business. Join us in the second segment. Earlier on, we mentioned some of the issues that really affect ethical behavior at organizations, and these include morality. How moral are the leaders? How moral, do they conduct their business, especially in a competitive world? Some will price their products high. Some will even lie and say, this product contains this and that, yet it doesn't. So those are the things that we want to look at as to how they can be tackled at different organizations. And this is the second segment of Economic Forum, where our guest today is leadership trainer, Mr. Charles Kaguda. Yes, Mr. Kaguda, morality, in a business environment. What comes to mind there, that you'd like to draw our attention to, that you can raise a red flag when an organization is like this?
So within ethics, there are a number of what we call ethical virtues or values. Integrity is one of them. Honesty is another, maybe this the other side of the coin. Respect is yet another. You can go on and on and on. But when we are talking about business, we are talking about integrity. Integrity deals with a wholeness of a decision. In other words, is it based on the true facts or something else has been added on? And I know this is where our struggles lie. Integrity, honesty, and people don't care about morality in a lot of cases. And sadly, that's our downfall. That's really our downfall, because we know that when we do what is wrong, conscience speaks to us. When you do something wrong, Even if you decide to make a wrong decision, you know that this is wrong. So conscience plays a bigger part. But because of the preponderance of wanting to make or maximize profits, we do things, and it's a dog-eat-dog kind of environment where people really are looking at profit maximization at the expense of morality. But in the end, you know what? It hits you. Because people will get to know that you are dishonest as an organization, and people will shy away unless you are a monopoly where you set the prices and people have nowhere to go. That's the problem with monopolies, oligarchies, those kinds of organization. Business ethics actually is to do with setting the minimum standards of conduct that are not detrimental to stakeholders.
Mr. Kaguda, many organizations claim or are encouraged, especially by auditors and others who do evaluation, to come up with their own systems where they mold their culture, including the ethical behavior. Where has that gone wrong? The documents are there in the cupboards which direct organizations as to how they have to deal with the public, how they have to deal with outsiders and so forth. So where would have trust and reliability gone to?
Again, it's the same issue of turning a blind eye. Those things can be written down, all listed, but when it comes to implementation, it becomes a problem. Because what is the driving thing? Because economics is about making a profit. That's what it is about. And so it takes a huge component of how we conduct ourselves. As a result, we turn a blind eye towards what is good practice in business. So, to answer your question, why do they turn a blind eye? The question
to their own rules.
Because really they do not be bothered by those things. At the end of the day is the bottom line. Unfortunately, because management are supposed to produce value to their shareholders. And they do that at the expense of other things. Because they are going to benefit themselves, the perks, the salaries, whatever other benefits they get. Because there's a reward for performing well. But that performance is now tainted by failure to adhere to ethical issues. And usually boards are to blame.
I was going to talk about boards as well as their membership organizations where they have to be strict that members act in a certain behavior like we see with doctors and lawyers and so forth. Why can't that be implemented in ordinary businesses where the code of conduct can actually pin you down if you're not following any ethical behavior?
Boards should be at the forefront of implementing ethical conduct in any business. In terms of our company law, the directors, the board of directors, is responsible in terms of the law for how the business is operated. And ethical issues are tantamount, they are paramount to ethical behavior. And while there are certain things that will incriminate board members, and people try and shy away where there is a crime which has been committed, but they shy away from things that should be done not because the law exists, but because it is the right thing to do.
But Mr. Kaguda, the boards have to set a standard. They have to be strict about setting a standard, and the management has to implement that standard that has been set by the board. Otherwise, they will be shown the door. Why is that not happening?
One of the problems is lack of sharing the vision, the mission, and sharing the values. Most of the values and the vision and the mission are contained in the statement of it's called statement of values. Is it a mission statement? Most of them are contained there. Now, it is utterly important that management shares the values which the board have created for them within the organization. so that it trickles down to everyone, so that everyone feels a responsibility to make sure that they act ethically. So most organizations would have a code of conduct, and that code of conduct stipulates how we should treat our customers, how we should treat our employees, how we should treat generally outsiders or other stakeholders. So implementation and sharing of the values of the organization at the management level is absolutely important.
Mr. Charles Kaguda, who is our guest today, and we are discussing ethical behavior or the importance of ethics in business management, because we have heard and we have seen about cases of corruption being on the rise. They're coming from people who are supposed to be implementing some of their codes of conduct that prevent that. So join us in the third and final segment of Economic Forum. In most instances, our government is always striving to make sure that there is ease of doing business. They would like those coming from outside to be able to open their companies and deal with their local partners very easily in this country. But again, if there are no ethics, there is no ethical behavior, how does that happen, Mr. Kaguda?
There is need to look at intercultural communication, which is, you are looking at different cultures coming together, and therefore, for example, if someone is coming from China and we have business people here, it's necessary to understand the Chinese culture of doing business. And it's also important for the Chinese component to understand how we do business in our own country. Now we need to combine those aspects of doing business through intercultural communication. That's why language is very important to learn, so that we can communicate these values that we are talking about. We need to meet halfway when it comes to observance or observation of ethical conduct. So then the joint venture or a joint organization needs then to make sure that what they have designed in terms of ethical conduct again cascades into the various employees, into the employees who are part of this organization.
And as leadership or trainers yourselves, have you also started implementing some of these things whereby you encourage the learning of language in advance for those who want to be dealing with outsiders, and also understanding of basic cultures, so that when these businesses come, those who are doing businesses with, find it much easier?
I think it's important that we in training get to understand these languages, because they will enable us to be able to speak across cultures and be able to share things.
Let's look at the overall benefits of practicing good business ethics. You can give examples at a corporate level. Small businesses, they're not left out as well, as individuals.
The benefits, it's very important to talk about from a national point of view. It's very important. We want to attract business. Foreign direct investment is important for any country to go forward, because there is transfer of technology, there is economic integration, particularly us in the SADC area. It's very important that we are known for doing that which is right. So foreign direct investment is important. If you look at the SADC area, I think we're about 250 million, if I'm not mistaken, the countries that form the SADC area. Once it is known that it is good to do business in a particular country, and another country is not doing so well, people are likely to invest their money in a country where they can trust the leadership, they can trust management. So trust becomes the currency of operation when you are dealing with economics. So that's one of the benefits. You will draw in foreign direct investment as a country. The same applies. This will cascade to companies, to organizations, to even the public sector. So the benefits are huge for a country in terms of investment. Then the issue of trust that we've just talked about. If I'm putting my money in Zimbabwe, I want to be able to say that I'll be able to get my money back. I don't want to think that, my money is going down the drain and I'm going to lose it. So risk management touches on these things. What is the political risk? What is the economic risk? What is the social risk? There are many kinds of risks. And people assess those and put you on a chart where they tick off and say, in terms of this type of risk, this country is good. In terms of this, and then they tick you off. In the end, you are then put in a listing, and people will say, where do you fall in terms of?
Are you a country that asks for kickbacks in every business?
Absolutely.
Yes.
That sort of thing. So it's absolute. Those are the benefits. You will have trust. You will have foreign direct investment coming in, and people will feel that, they are welcome.
On that note, Mr. Kaguda, I would like to thank you very much for coming on to Economic Forum, where you have been sharing your ideas about the importance of business ethics in various types of business, in the corporate world, in the small businesses, as well as among individuals, and how we trade internationally. That was Mr. Charles Kaguda, who is a leadership trainer, talking to us there about ethical issues, how organizations can be ethical. If you'd like to get in touch with us on our social media platforms, you can do so, and we can engage about some of the things that we've been discussing here. For example, business ethics with Mr. Kaguda. And if you have missed some of the episodes of Economic Forum, you can actually watch them on our YouTube channel, which is Economic Forum Zimbabwe. So on behalf of leadership trainer, Mr. Charles Kaguda, who has been telling us about all things ethical in doing business, whether locally, regionally, or internationally, this is John Masuru wishing you happy viewing.